Welcome back to the Fox Report. Got a question for you. So did the United States just get its 51st state? Puerto Rico, an unincorporated territory of the U.S., just voted overwhelmingly to become a state. That's according to the local governor, who says the island, which is collapsing under its debt, is sending a strong message and clear message to U.S. Congress and the world, but not so fast. Brian Yennis joins us live now from our New York City studio. He's right here with me. So what does all this mean, Brian?
No, Puerto Rico will not become the 51st state.
It will not. It
will not. This is the first time Puerto Rico has, the fifth time Puerto Rico has had a referendum
maybe it
vote
could
on
happen?
this. I mean, I guess this is more like a poll, essentially. This is a non-binding vote, and people are given a choice to decide whether or not Puerto Rico should become a state, remain a U.S. territory, the status quo, or become an independent nation. And today, the people overwhelmingly chose statehood. Nearly 500,000 votes were cast for statehood. Just over 7,000 voted for independence, and over 6,000 to stay a U.S. territory. Overwhelming, but frankly, it doesn't mean much. This is a non-binding vote, meaning it's up to the U.S. Congress anyway to make the final call. There was low turnout. Just 23% of the country voted, the lowest participation reportedly from the AP in 50 years, partly because three major opposition parties who are against statehood boycotted the vote entirely today, calling into question the validity of the vote. And the first time the U.S. territory voted for statehood was actually in 2012. In a referendum vote then, and the vote today, of course, happening just among great economic turmoil on the island, 12% unemployment, bankruptcy, tens of thousands of people fleeing the island. So there are some people who believe statehood can actually add the relief they need to help just a crippling debt that's happening down there.
You know, I tell you, it's heartbreaking when you see what's happening down there financially with the unemployment rate, and of course, Puerto Rico, like D.C., wants statehood at some point. So that's opening up a whole new can of worms politically. Right. But let's talk about the Puerto Rican Day National Parade, which took place here in New York City. It wasn't without controversy. It
was not. Puerto Rico is in a constant flux of an identity crisis, and sort of at the heart of this is also Oscar Lopez Rivera, who's a convicted FALN terrorist. He rode up Fifth Avenue on a float today in the parade. Lopez Rivera was a leader of the Armed Forces of National Liberation, a terrorist group responsible for at least 120 bomb attacks throughout the U.S. in the 70s and 80s. He was convicted of seditious conspiracy against the U.S. government in 1981. He served 36 years, and ultimately his sentence was commuted by President Obama this January. He was never convicted of a direct violent crime, but he was accused of being a bomb maker, and the FALN's deadliest attack was in 1975 at the Francis Tavern here in New York. The blast killed 4, including Frank Connor, Joe Connor's father.
To think that Oscar Lopez would be considered a hero and a hero of freedom, it's just so insane. You can't even get your head around it.
His involvement caused corporate sponsors to boycott today's parade. Governor Andrew Cuomo, Senator Chuck Schumer, the NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill sat out as well. Mayor Bill de Blasio, though, marched, and the Puerto Rico Parade Committee stood by their decision to honor him with the National Freedom Hero Award, that is Oscar Lopez. But there was some mixed response from today's crowd.
I'm a little disappointed that the parade became so political. This is about music and culture. It is about politics, but it shouldn't be the dominant theme. I'm glad he's out. He did his time, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to support him.
All of this happening, Kelly, on the 100th anniversary of the U.S. granting citizenship for Puerto Ricans. So,
Brian Yennis, thank you. Excellent reporting as always.